Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special Monday edition of Mysteries Unlimited. First of all, let me apologize for this past Friday's show. It ended unexpectedly because of we lost internet. That's the only thing I can figure. We'd had storms earlier in the day, and one of our local places it was without power for 48 hours, and that's just up the road from us. And some places were without internet, and I think we just had a little spike, and it kind of knocked us offline with about 15 minutes to go in the show. So what we're going to do today, we're going to continue talking about the Patterson film a little while, and then we got some other subjects we're going to get into, like gifting, and we're going to look at the zoo photo, and maybe Mudfoot if we get some time. So right now, I need to bring Leo in and make sure we got his mic and all that good happy stuff going good. Let me see what we got here now. Hey, there's Leo.
Evening.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Monday edition of Mysteries Unlimited.
Hopefully the lack of lightning edition.
It's been nice today. The temperature was probably low middle 80s, so it's not been too bad.
It's miserable and wet here, and it's going to be all week, so that's kind of screwing with my plans for the week.
Now, we had a little bit of rain, but a couple days ago when the storm hit on, well, I guess that was Friday, but there wasn't a whole lot of water in it. I mean, there was some rain and wind and blew a pretty big limb out of my backyard. I actually got another one out there now. It fell last night. So it's not been bad. The water's not up muddy or in the river or anything like that. So it was a good day to get out and mess around a little bit. We had some business stuff to conduct, but I've been wanting to go to. We went on a hike today. I'm sure you've seen the one picture I put up. I got more video stuff, but I've been wanting to go to a place called Dog Slaughter Falls in Corbin.
Sounds like a fun place.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go down there for like 4 or 5 years. It's about round trip hiking to the falls and back is probably close to 3-4 miles, something like that. It's not too bad. A lot of roots and rocks and things like that too that could trip you up. But it was a good time. But when we got there, we was the only people there. We met a couple people coming out, but when we got to the falls, there was nobody there. We was there by ourselves for quite a while before another couple showed up, a man and a woman that were probably about our age. And the dude was wearing a kilt, so I don't know what that was all about, but it's okay, I guess. At least it was camo.
Only in Kentucky, and only you would see it.
Yeah, I didn't ask if he was commando or not, but
well, you got to assume, because if you don't assume, then they get angry about it. So you got to assume that there's not a whole lot under there.
At least it was camouflaged kilt, so well,
not sure what family that would belong to, but
me I don't want to see the family crest on that one, do you? Well, I guess Leo, we will continue our talk. When we got interrupted on Friday, we was talking about the Patterson footage, and the last thing we were actually talking about was the Philip Morris costume that Philip Morris claimed he would, they made the costume for Patty, but of course his version is red. Patty was more of a darker color. You can see the wrinkles in the suit. The face looked pretty good, but if he had made that, I'm sure he would have kept the pattern and been selling a lot of them right now. But so I think it was just a ploy to get interest in his company. Maybe he sold more gorilla suits or more Batman suits, whatever he makes, because of that.
Well, I mean, like I said, with him and Hieronymus doing their little tour thing together, it never made any sense because they have two absolutely, completely different stories, but yet they're standing there trying to back each other up, and that's what Hieronymus described that he put on, and had to step into this 3-piece type thing, and then you got Morris with his completely different carnival, scary gorilla type one onesie type costume thing. So I
Well,
never understood that partnership for that because their stories completely contradict each other.
well, I think him Rodicus wanted to get in on the money grab. I think he was wanting the money grab on it. I call him Rodicus.
Yeah, well, money with both of them, but
Well,
see with
I know
Philip
he has
Morris,
autographs. You can get autographed pictures off of eBay from him, and they're like $85 the ones I seen. So
yeah, I know of about 10 people who might actually purchase that because
and I know two or three of us in one group uh, that they're
would get
not a
very
very
excited
open
over it.
group. I tell you what, let's share a little something on the screen here, maybe. I don't know if let's see if we can get it to work. This is all. There we go. How's that look?
Well, look at that, man. We're playing videos on here now.
All right, yeah, we're improving. And me and you had talked about the fluid movement, uh,
Hmm.
just how smooth it is. I think someone in the costume would have had a harder time because it appears to be a lot of down trees and stuff like that in the area. And I run several filters on that, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean it. Like I said, if it ever comes out as that Bob says it's a hoax, those that don't believe it now aren't going to change their mind. They're going to say that Bob was forced to say it.
Well,
Somebody coaxed him to say it for his family or for some other reason.
oh, here's the
And
left boob bounce. You can see the left boob bounce. Boink. See that? Boink. What's it? Boink. Boink. That's a pretty good costume,
well, I
You
mean,
know,
who, and a lot that's pointed out too, and we're stating the obvious with who would have thought of that if you're gonna fake a Bigfoot video.
right.
Why female? But then he did draw a female in his book, but he drew lots of things in the book. So
Well, maybe I don't know. I've not read his book. Maybe he had thought about that about the female, or maybe he saw tracks from a small one and he assumed there was female. You know, but the funny part is a lot of people think, and even today, a lot of people think there's only one Bigfoot in the whole world and it's seen everywhere. Now they don't realize there's a lot of Bigfoot out there.
well, I mean there wouldn't be one if there wasn't more.
Right? Yeah. A lot of people don't think that way though. They, I think that's a pretty good shot there. You can see kind of see the head, uh, see the face a little bit. Where we was at today when we was hiking, we uh, we were in part of the Daniel Boone National Forest, uh, and as you know, the Daniel Boone National Forest is, other than being huge, it is also uh, uh, a very good place for Bigfoot.
I had the time of my life, man, for 3 weeks straight every night. 3 week well every day and almost every night. 3 weeks straight in there.
What's a beautiful area. Uh,
It is.
well, how we come off the road, you go about 6 or 8 miles on a gravel road. It's right through the forest. I mean,
Mhm.
there's not a house back through there anywhere. And I think we ran into one person driving in, and then when we got to the actual hiking area, we made the third car, so there wasn't hardly anyone there. Right now, I want to show. I know I just shared it on here somewhere. Oh, I want to share a little close up of Patty's breast. Uh, you would think if he was making a costume and he formed these breasts onto this costume that they would be rigid, they wouldn't be moving, but you can clearly see movement in the breast. So I'm on the right one now. Here we go. and that's just a very close up of the breast. You can see them bounce. So I don't know of any way they could have done that in that time frame.
Well,
Uh,
not just then, but I don't know. I remember a hoax picture from, oh my, it's been years, probably 2012 or before,
mhm.
and it was a female, and but it was the whole front was, they had the breast, but it was all plastic. The whole front was it was just a horrible attempt at it was a light brown one standing by a tree, but it was just a horrible shiny plasticky. So yeah, I mean, even now they're not putting in, you know, movable breasts and stuff. That's
Well, that's you can actually see that there is some movement there that would make you think it's not rigid or excuse me. Uh, let me see what I got. Oh, okay. I got something else I want to share here too. Oh, this is Morris and his deal, and that's Bob Hemroicus trying to trying to that's replicate the patty walk, and you can see even though the face actually looks pretty good, uh, the rest of the suit just it looks like a typical 1970s gorilla costume that you would see in any low budget sci-fi style film.
in Philip Morris, does he not? And I'm not running the guy down. He was in the costume business, but does
Sure.
he not just have carny salesman kind of look written all over him?
Yeah, like a carnival
He does.
barker.
He's got that look.
Step right up, step right up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess in his business that kind of helps. But I don't know if you've ever went to the website, the Philip Morris website. They have quite a few neat costumes and stuff. But I don't think this year you can actually look at that right there. He's actually tried to put breast on that. I had never noticed it. So he's tried to put breast on it, but I just don't. I just
You know,
don't.
I've never noticed that about that. I just thought that was that terrible of a suit. I
Yeah,
didn't notice that he actually even bothered to put breast on that. That's
he's tried to put
how
breast.
ridiculous looking it is.
Yeah, you can see that that is probably rigid plastic right in there.
Yeah,
So
and
I
just
just don't
covered
think he
over.
made it.
Boy, if you're trying to prove a point, man, they went about it the wrong way.
Yeah, well, I just don't think he made the suit. I think it was a deal to kind of cash in and bring some. I guess you would call it a PR stunt kind of thing. Uh, and old Bob Hemrodicus there was more than willing to play the part and try to make him a few bucks too. I'm sure.
But I mean, like you said, he would be selling that.
Hmm.
That you couldn't show muscle movement. You couldn't show all the things that you see in Patty in any type of suit back then. It just was not. It didn't happen.
Well, I
But
know.
if he had the one suit that could, man, he would have made a ton of money off of that.
Sure. Like the
So
Planet of the Apes movies. I'm a big Planet of the Apes guy, and it came out a year after the Patterson film, and it was basically almost a suit like Morris's here. I mean, it wasn't. There's no muscle movements, just a big floppy suit. But I still like the movie. Uh, but it's
and
more
wasn't that the reason why they tried to keep the midsection and stuff covered because
yeah,
they couldn't have the detail they wanted to?
right, and you couldn't see it. Just looked like a big floppy suit type thing. Uh, I mean, if Morris could have made it where you could see muscle definition and stuff back then, I'm sure they'd have been all over that, wanting to.
Oh, Hollywood would have been knocking down his door with.
Let's get a 200 of those suits for our leading cast on Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
But I just think it was a PR kind of stunt to get publicity toward his uh, costume making. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually a still frame from the recently done 4K version of the film. Or they call it a 4K. I don't know if it's actually a 4K version. You uh, you can make things 4K in a way, you have to take each frame and scan it so many hundreds of times to it brings out the definition somehow, makes it what they consider 4K. So I don't know exactly how these folks did that, but there does seem the better quality in the appearance there. Maybe a little bit of ear showing, a little bit of distortion, but and this is the actual site. I don't know if you've ever seen the aerial view of that aerial. It's kind of neat. I guess right over in this area was where they were shooting from, and then it walks across this way and right. That's what it looks like, anyways, to me. Kind of neat to see.
Yeah, it is.
But this is totally different now, I'm sure, because it's been so long, and you get flooding and erosion and trees falling, and I'm sure it's totally different now. Probably be difficult to find if you just didn't know what you was doing. Now, here's something I like to talk about sometime. They've always said that there was another Bigfoot in this video,
Or several.
or several. Uh, I think there's at least two possibilities, what I've seen. One of them was standing back here in the back, which is very, and if I'm not mistaken, this is some of the work that M.K. Davis actually did. M.K., we talked about him a little bit in the last show. He's done some phenomenal work on the Patterson film. But supposedly, if you can, right now the hard thing is finding the uncut footage, because most people have cropped it down, and you can't even see this figure back here because it's been cropped down. If you can find the original, you can actually see this back here as it walks. Which always kind of thought that was a real potential there.
As far as any other ones in it, I've never seen anything that I would make something that I would make a definite call on. But
no,
I
this is potential.
I just find it highly unlikely that she would be there
alone
without at least one other male, one male around.
I think this one here has potential of being a extra one, standing back there. But you don't know; it could just be light and shadow. But some people they use. I've seen it before, and I know you have too. They try to say that Roger Patterson's hiding back in the bushes. Have you ever seen that picture? And it's just pareidolia. I mean, it's just shadow, and it's ridiculous that people believe that.
I know, but look at how many things people see in this alone, let alone the whole Bigfoot world with all the Bigfoot pictures and that. But with this alone, there's 45 young ones right at the start, and they all take off scrambling. And but it's.
And there is one of the foot tracks, which I think is kind of neat. I do have a track casting of Patty, and you can see, even though mine is a copy of a copy, some of the dermal ridges are found over on like the small toe. You can see a little bit of dermal ridges on it, which is kind of interesting. And in certain areas, it looks like there's some scarring, maybe from walking in rocky areas or briars or sticks or whatever, which is kind of neat.
What was the controversy about somebody who gave their 2 cents worth? I think it was on a TV show. That all the tracks didn't match up.
Well, here's the thing on that. There was actually some, the best I can understand it, before this was filmed, there was actually some fake tracks made in there. And it fooled some of the people, but there was also some real tracks also in the area. And
so he was still doing the fake track thing in '67.
Yeah, some of them were. So I think that was part of the problem. I don't know if he was just trying to get a rise out of some of the people in the area, workers or whatever, but I think that was part of the problem.
Well, I
And you
thought
never
he
know
had
why
been
people do
caught and
that.
confessed by then.
Well, we know of other people who are famous hoaxers who got caught, confessed, and apologized, and didn't pull the next hoax.
Oh yeah, that's
You know,
true.
you just it
Yeah,
just goes
almost all of them for that matter.
no kidding. But yeah, this track here is kind of I think it's pretty interesting. And one thing recently I didn't watch it. Somebody was telling me about it. A friend of mine was telling me about it on Expedition Bigfoot. They used the 3D imaging technology out in the field and to determine the height of Patty. And it's called what's it called, Ladair or something like that. It's acronym for something. But it really what it amounts to is it does a 3D scan of the thing and tells how tall whatever you're looking at is. And they had estimated it at or the machine had guessed it at Patty at 6'3". So I've done a little bit of research and looked into that, and not the height of Patty, but the technology they were using, and it said that it can sometimes be off as much as 4 inches. So if it was off 4 inches, that would make Patty 6'7", which was the original estimate by John Green, I believe who it was.
And MK too said it. I
So
think I think he said around 6'6".
so so if that new I don't watch Expedition Bigfoot because of the season one was so terrible and fake that I just will not watch it. I can't support things like that. But if other people want to, that's fine. Maybe I've heard they're doing better now, and that's good. But after season one, there's no way I can stomach it. But this technology they're using, according to what I read, it can be off as much as 4 inches on its guessed height. So so maybe that's a good thing that they come out with. I hope like I said, I don't want. So I hope they told that in the show that it could be off by 4 inches, because that would make it correct to what several people have guessed it. Let's see what we got next. I don't even know what the next picture is. Oh, to me now, this is one of the biggest selling points for me on Patty being real. And if you'll notice, it's the toes.
The
You see the
toes shooting
toes.
up there.
You see the toes raised and then go back down. I think that's so. To me, that was a big selling point for me because if you look at about any movie from that time frame, late '60s, even in the '70s, the footwear was very rigid, like a regular shoe, basically, and didn't bend like that.
And that really that blows the whole. Well, the clown shoe theory never worked anyway because that's not. You couldn't keep that up
No,
with the whole clown shoe uh, size. That
yeah,
and
some of them
the
said the
tracks
oversized
wouldn't have
shoe. Yeah,
tracks wouldn't have the casts and stuff wouldn't have passed Krantz's sniff test, which he kind of thought it may have been a hoax too, but I don't think he had too much of an issue with the tracks. But Meldrum you know, would have had
it's also
major
my understanding
issues.
too. It's also my understanding too, Lee. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is that some of the tracks actually showed toe movement, which would have been another thing that would have debunked uh, the clown shoe theory or whatever you want to call it, the oversized shoe theory. If you got toe movement, that means it's not something that's rigid. You got something that is flexible and moving.
And controlled. I mean, that has to be controlled
Right.
in order to do that. So,
I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty clear right there that the toes are up, the toes are down. That's one of my favorite shots. Uh, and if I'm not mistaken, where I found this photo from was the Bill Munn's analysis of the Patty film, which if you've not been to his website and looked at it, there's a ton of information on there, tons of it, and I think he does a pretty good job. Too small. That's just another look at the where they potentially there was another Bigfoot. Some people think. Hard to say. I've seen two things in the film that I thought could possibly potentially be other Bigfoot, but none of them are conclusive. And this is the very first of the film, which it's real shaky at the very first, and you can't see it. But Patty was squatted down. What she was doing, I have no idea. I thought maybe she might have been using the bathroom even.
That's possible. I mean, my first sighting, that's how it went. He was squatted down with one arm in the water. I didn't know that immediately. I just saw his back. So,
Mm-hmm.
but trying to get speculate what it's, who knows?
It's hard to say. That landscape, because we do speculate and put out there that there's a possibility that Bigfoot buries its poop and stuff. That ground was kind of sandy. It would have been easy to do in that area if that's what she was doing. Just a thought. And that's just some filters I run through to try to find more detail. And I mean, if you look, and it's hard to see, you can actually see it, what appears to be a butt crack in that. And I don't know of any suits during that time frame that would have had a butt crack in it.
Well, during that time frame, look at the hoax suits now. They're still baggy and
Right.
droopy, and they're
Well, I've actually got a suit. I don't use it for things like that. I use it for when we do our film. Actually, when I go to events, I let people take pictures with it and stuff like that. And it's a big baggy type suit. There's no definition in the butt crack or anything like that. And I've had to fill it out. I put padding on it and stuff, make it look a little better. And I built it off. I built it on a mannequin. I bought a mannequin and padded it out a little bit. And I use it at events when I about went to an event in about 2 years now. Everybody hates me. I guess they don't invite me no more. Uh, and I would let people. I got a sign made up that says Bigfoot Crossing, and I'll let the people hold it and take pictures with it. Do it for free. I mean, I don't charge them or anything. I just let them do it for free. And people love to come by and look at the Bigfoot. But that suit is something I bought that I paid pretty decent money for it. I originally bought it. They was doing a local parade that they do every year, and I had contacted the guy who was over that, and I told him I wanted to walk. I was going to make it look like I had the Bigfoot capture. I was going to put some kind of rope or something on him and have somebody walk while I walk through there, in my Bigfoot gear or whatever. And I bought the suit, and it's pretty expensive. I had it custom made, uh, and then they never did get back with me on my position in the thing and in the parade, and so I was kind of frustrated a little bit about it. So what am I going to do with this suit? Uh, so I ended up just making it on a mannequin and taking it around to events and things like that because it's a good draw. Kids love it, adults love it, and they want to come take pictures with it and stuff like that. And even some celebrities. I've been to some events where there were people much more popular and famous than me, and they wanted to come and take a picture with us. Well, yeah, come on, I don't care. Come and take pictures with it all you want to.
well. I got to know now because I know that you were talking about one event where Ricky Morton was there, so I need to know
Oh yeah,
if
yeah,
one half of the Rock and Roll Express got
he's
got,
awesome,
got
dude.
his picture taken with
I don't know.
Ricky's.
I don't know if he did or not, but man, he's awesome. He's an awesome guy. I don't. Me and him kind of hit it off. Uh, he's not a very big guy as far as being tall.
He didn't need to be. He
He
was
didn't. Yeah.
that he no, he was that smooth. He didn't need to be.
But man, you talking about a stand up dude? He took the microphone and he done a wonderful pro American style speech that inspired people. He done a real good job, and me and him kind of hit it off. We talked a whole lot. Me and him stood and talked for a long, long time during the weekend event. Good guy. He's on my friends list, and he's got his some of his family and stuff's wrestling now with him, and it's really cool. I mean, he's a good guy. You know, I've met a few celebrities uh, that were not very friendly or outgoing to talk to you. Uh, but now he was great. Amber Don Fox was great. Several I've met several people off The Walking Dead. It's all great. There's just only a few that I've run into that really not friendly or well, one back in the day I'd have just crushed him. That's kind of how I felt about him. Just arrogant, and I didn't like it. So
And I know who that is, and he really didn't have any right to be
oh no,
even feel arrogant. Where that comes from, I don't know.
that's the Leroy Blevins suit that he made of Patty. We talked about that on the last show. Me and Leroy he was from Kentucky. We got along well. We didn't agree on the Patty thing, but that's okay. He always thought it was a suit, and that was his attempt at recreating the Patty suit. No. Let's see what we got here now. That's just a little clip. Oh, this is a thing on the Hive, which was interesting. They've got it wrong, of course. This they're trying to say is just 5'8", and I don't know. Of course, we're taking the foot here, the casting, and you lay the castings, stack them up, and it because we know how long the castings are, and they say it's 5'8", but I don't. I think somehow or another they've got this messed up. I don't know if the scale's off or what, but something don't look right to me. I don't think Patty was 5'8". That's kind of small.
Take a look at her calf in that in her foot that is down.
Yeah, right here.
Yep.
That's it's humongous. So I tell you what's interesting in this, and I don't know if you've seen my which I know you have my game cam picture of Bigfoot.
Many times.
What's interesting to me, and I seen one out of North Carolina too that I thought was probably hoax at first, and now I'm not for sure because of how the build is. If you'll notice, sometimes the from the waist down it seems kind of small. That they seem longer in the torso than they do in the legs. And that game cam picture I have, which I know is not a person and it's not a bear, the legs kind of look funny to me, and they look really kind of similar to this and like the one I seen from North Carolina. Uh, the legs sometimes do look funny. Just I don't understand why, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Good picture there. Good picture. Oh, that's the Morrison suit in action.
Yeah, see, that's it, and it would have been even worse than that back then. So I mean, that's ridiculous. And that was what was that, late '90s into the early 2000s?
Right. Yeah. This is something he tried to make later, many years later.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. So can you imagine what he would have been making back then?
Right. So I think that pretty much, unless you've got more to add on Patty, I think that pretty much wraps up the Patty segment, and we can move on to my nose itching to something else.
Well, the only thing left to say, I mean, because everything's been said, and you've got people on both sides. One will say that all of these experts say it can't be faked, and the skeptics say, well, and all of these experts say it is. The problem is the ones that they're putting up there are ones that take a 5-minute look at it on a TV show, do a little giggle, and say, well, that's a guy in a bad monkey suit. I'm sorry. They're not analyzing it. They're looking at it in knee-jerk reaction. That's a guy in a suit. So, I mean, it's to me, it's ridiculous to think that somehow this guy of limited means, and like I said, I don't believe anything, not a single word of the whole story of how it happened. But that's not what matters. What matters is in the film.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that people of limited means like they had and everything that they are going to get that lucky that everything in that supposed suit, that homemade suit, or the Philip Morris suit, whichever store you want to buy, um, the stars aren't all going to align to show, the inside of that suit, that supposed suit. It's not going to flex in all the right places at all the right times. Nobody's that lucky.
Well, I'm like you. If we looked at the Morrison suit, you can actually, and we've seen other suits too. I mean, you can see wrinkles and such when they move and walk. Because to have it form fitting was basically impossible. The only way I would know how to do a form fitting like that would be you to have to strip the person down and glue the hair right on them. That's the only way I would know to do it, and I just don't see that happening either. That's be a lot of makeup and time, especially for that time period. But all these suits, you see wrinkles and folds in them and stuff like that, and so it lets you know that it's a slacky suit, most likely.
But the thing, and you and I were talking about somebody else here, yesterday, I think, and you were telling, I was saying who's gonna, like, who has money to have a suit that good, and you were pointing out that it was probably CGI, because
Oh
that's
yeah,
what I couldn't understand was what
right.
what was his plan here? He can't be making that much money off what people watching his YouTube channel.
Well, people get a rise. Hoaxers and fake people, they get a rise off of fooling, you know, people. I think that has a lot to do with it. We know several people who have hoaxed, and it's a big ego thing for them that, hey, I fooled everybody. I got on TV. I got on the news. It's a big ego trip for them, I guess. But the guy you're talking about, he does have one or two suits, and he does take pictures of them. But most of his stuff is computer generated. Uh, if there's free software that will let you do a digital overlay. I could take if you're decent at it, and it takes time to learn it, and I don't have time to do that. You can take a person's face and overlay it, and it'll look like a Bigfoot. I've seen a person who done, I think it was 2001: Space Odyssey. They took small clips from it and changed some of the people to Bigfoot, close-up shots of the face. The guy took down the videos about a year or so ago, maybe a little longer, and they looked good. They had movement. They looked perfect, and it was all computer done.
But I
So,
mean, you, you would how much of a charge would you to like when we're talking about just the suits alone?
mm,
How much of a charge could you get that would encourage you to spend that much money? Because we've talked about it before.
yeah.
Suits are not, they're not something that would be cheap. So,
No.
I mean, you'd have to be, I don't know. I don't know where people are getting, I'm not talking about the baggy, dumpy
Right.
looking
You're talking about the
$100 suit.
the
What,
movie suits.
yeah, why are people spending that much money for no return other than some clicks on a YouTube channel? That you have to be insane.
Well, I don't know what that guy's end game is other than ego and fooling people. But from what I've gathered about him, he has a good financial job anyway, so he just probably does it for kicks and giggles. The world's a
Well,
weird place.
you hear about eccentric people with money, but that I don't know. It just seems like an odd thing to blow your money on to me.
That's because we're normal, dude. We don't we try to be
And I'm far from
um,
normal, but I'm not blowing a whole bunch of money on a Bigfoot suit.
well. We try to be when I mean normal, I mean we're trying to be honest, decent humans, And these folks don't care about being honest, decent humans. They just want to have fun, I guess, out of life or whatever.
Well, I mean, if they don't know, yeah, but I mean, if they don't know that there are actually some of us that put a lot of our life into this,
yeah.
they might they could be thinking they're pulling something
Mhm.
innocent and not knowing that it actually messes things up for other people.
Oh yeah. Well, there's always somebody who's going to believe the fake stuff. I mean, we've seen it happen a lot. Uh, you can pull a very big hoax and be all over the news, and then wait a couple of years and pull another super duper bigger hoax, and people still gonna flock to you. We've seen it happen. So,
But this guy in particular, wasn't the first thing that came out from him a really bad Photoshop of a gray, almost looked like a silverback gorilla,
well,
but with
if you will
adjustments
go
made
to
to
his
it?
YouTube, if you will go to his YouTube channel and you click the about section, he basically tells you everything he's doing is fake and not real. But most people will not go look at that. And now I'm just going to say who it is. It's Mark Anders. It's Mark Anders. It's if you go to his YouTube channel and you click on uh, his about, it basically tells you that what he's doing is not real. But people don't care about that. They'll post one of his fakes 92 times a week, and people think about how great it is and how awesome it is and what a catch and all that kind of stuff. And then they'll show the same picture tomorrow and hit that same Bigfoot in the same pose, but he'll be 25 states away. So, but and if that's his game, that's what he wants to do. Man, go for it.
Oh, I only know. I don't want to say I only know one, but really, I think I only know one person that sees them as legit. And that's, I mean, I like the guy and he's a
Oh
great
yeah,
guy,
I know who you're talking about.
but
Yeah,
but
that's an
I
experienced guy. Should know better though.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, he's
But
been around for a long time. He should know better
yeah,
than that.
yeah, that
And
is
he has
true.
influence, and that person you're talking about has influence because a lot of people look up to him because of his experience, and he has backed that hoax several times. And,
But I will say this though: if he didn't legitimately believe it, he would not. He wouldn't be back in a hoax.
I
It's
agree
but
with
he legitimately does
you. Hmm.
believe it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's the only person that I know. I don't know of anybody. Well, aside from the people that don't, I'm talking people that actually go out. You
Right.
know, and,
Experienced people,
yeah, enthusiasts. Sure, there's
they may
they,
not
they
know.
see they see anything Bigfoot, they get excited about it. So, and
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Not cutting that down. I'm just saying that's what happens.
Well, I've seen
And
stuff too that I thought was, man, I'd get excited. Oh, this may be it. And then you get to looking at it and you get to researching a little bit and you say, oh man, it's another goofball doing a hoax or something, and then and it's okay to get excited about things, but you got to research it. You can't just take it at face value, I guess.
no, and like I said,
No question.
people like us that actually go and do and experience immediately looked at it and said, "Wow, what a nice suit." But we knew what it was.
Well,
Those
now
with
just like
the ones that keep ending up that we're hopping all over the same state, but we're standing there in the exact same pose. It's a
right.
nice suit, but it's
Well, like today, like I said, we went to Dog Slaughter Falls. It's about a 3 mile, 4 mile round trip hike. Well, along that way, of course, I go off trail quite a bit. There's all kinds of caves and openings and big ledges for you to get under, and I've seen things today that I thought were very potential Bigfoot structures uh, off the trail, of course. Uh, and, I can't say for sure, but I have found similar things that I know were made by Bigfoot. And this place it's kind of isolated. Uh, I mean, yeah, there's people who walk out there to the falls, but you got a trail that's about a foot wide or a foot and a half wide. How many people go off of it? You think Bigfoot cares that there's 25 people a day that walks out there and back? It don't bother him. He'll
man
just step out of the way.
in the research area in New Brunswick. There was a hiking trail that went right through there. But the thing is, what I did basically was get off the hiking trail and get on the game trail, and just kept going in. And no, I mean they're a lot closer than what people think, and that's how they. I mean they watch our behavior. They study us because they do come close. I mean, if something, they're not going to be hanging outside of a mall. I mean, they're not going to do that.
No.
But to be inside of in the woods, still in the woods, and there's people, yeah, they're going to go and watch them.
Well, same thing with I got one researcher in particular that there's a nearby highway, but it's in the middle of nowhere. There's probably not 100 cars a day that go on it. That don't bother Bigfoot. He'll just stand to the corner and wait till the car goes by and walk across to the other thousands and thousands of acres of forest. It don't bother him.
When I hear every time I hear the highway argument, I think of the same thing. People always say, "Well, yeah, but it's so close to a highway, and so there'd be no sightings there." And well, wait a minute. What about the ones that happen on the highway?
Right.
So
a lot of road crossing reports. Lots of them.
Yep.
Well, we kind of got off the subject a little bit, but I guess we could.
It's our show, man. We're allowed. You can't fire me, and I can't fire you.
I'll pick my nose if I want. No. But our next subject is something I think it's important, and I think you have to be careful doing it, and not misinterpret the data, like I know some people do. They want everything to be Bigfoot related, and sometimes it's not. So our next subject is we're going to talk about gifting, Bigfoot gifting toys, food, whatever. There's a lot of things that you could gift. I know some people who do even writings. They'll write something out on like a paper or something and leave a pencil and see if Bigfoot will make a mark or anything like that, which I think is kind of interesting. To me, that would depend on how long you've been in the area and how long you've been gifting if you wanted to try that. But excuse me, Leo, we can start with some of your gifting pictures that you have, if that's all right.
Go nuts.
No particular order on them?
No, the ones on the stump are from Area 1, so that's where I really started off at first, and the rock is in Area 2. So
one thing I do want to cover during the gifting, and it may be different for you, I would like to cover some of the things that we've left that Bigfoot didn't care about, maybe even other animals didn't care about, that they didn't eat or they didn't take or they didn't fool with. Because I know you've probably experienced that too. I have. I've experienced several things where they just didn't fool with it. Nothing fooled with it. Okay, here we go. This is our first picture from Leo of some of his gifting stuff.
So this is it. When I first got to the area, I found out about what was going on and the trouble they were having on the property and that. So the only thing that had ever worked for me was gifting, and I started that around 2007, 2008. So I thought, well, the only thing I know how to do is see if I can get something going back and forth here and get them to stay back away from the property, because it seemed like they wanted to be noticed, or there was some reason why they were bothered by this particular couple living there. So anyway, the first place that I started gifting, there was nothing. There was no anything. There wasn't even nothing to indicate that they were even there. So I stuck with that for maybe 2 weeks or so, and then I found this spot. And once I started here, that's where, see, a lot of times when people gift, they get things in return. And in another area, I did too, but in this area, it was unique because when I would gift, I'd get something in return once every, I don't know, 6-7 months or something like that. There's not really any pattern to it. There'd be something there when there was something there. But what they were doing was making all kinds of these tree manipulations that I could easily rule out the weather because I knew the weather. I was there. I knew I knew the weather. So, um, they were making these formations and really funky arches and just doing some. And the more they made them, the more I looked at them. The more I looked at them, the more I made them. So I would only get a gift back once in a while. But at the time I didn't know it was a they. I thought it was a he and or one. That's why I was cheap with the two apples there. As far as I knew, I thought the one in the area was the only one.
Okay, you put these apples out. Did they both leave at the same time? The apples when you come back?
They were. See, what I did was I went through my pictures of just grab basic pictures from the gifting area.
Mhm.
So in this case in particular, I don't know exactly what would have happened that night, but the apples are always guaranteed to be gone.
Yeah, I was just curious if they took one like the yellow one and left the red one, or got the red one first. That's what I was just kind of curious about.
No, but I have heard of that people say that they'll only take one of something, but I've never experienced that at all.
Well, now I've gifted yellow, red, and green apples, and I've not had any. I mean, they've always taken them.
Yeah, and uh, somebody just mentioned here like a week ago. I don't know if it was Spencer on his show, on the show he did or not, but about them, it seemed they prefer one apple they always take, and the green apple they won't, or something like that.
Hmm.
But no, I've never had that. They've always
Well,
been.
I like the Granny Smith apples. Uh,
Yeah, I like them too, but I'll eat them on the way in. I don't want to do that.
well, I usually take a couple. I'll leave me some. I can buy a bag, and their apples are getting more and more expensive, of course, like everything else. But usually I will leave me some here. But I'll take one or two and gift them, and they're always gone. All right, tell us what you got here in this that you've left for a gift. I
All
see
right,
strawberries, carrots, and is that a tomato?
that's a tomato. So by this time, like I was doing like for years, I was doing standard apples and pears, little trinkets, and apples and pears. So anyway, I decided I'm going to see what they actually will take and what they won't. So obviously, I can in this place we're talking. I was in there regularly, and then by regularly, I don't mean once a week. I'm talking evenings and weekends. Very staying home 2 nights a week, maybe. So you can never rule out other animals coming and getting some of this.
Sure.
But as you can see, there's in other pictures and stuff like that, there's going to be things that just is not possible for other animals came and
Well, did they take the carrots or something? Eat the carrots?
again, everything was gone.
Well, now see, in my area, I've used carrots a few times. These baby carrots, and almost nothing will fool them.
Now, but here's the other problem though. In this particular county, well, I mean, actually from here all the way down the shore, but right in this county, we still have a really good deer population. So I mean, the carrots could have been taken. Like I said, I'm not saying I wasn't there to see them being taken.
Well,
So
I've tried carrots a few times, and I never had any luck with them. Usually, they laid there and just decomposed. So I quit using carrots, and I know there's deer in there. I've walked right up on a mama deer and her fawn. I mean, within 7 or 8 feet, and she's just like looking at me, But so I
but
don't nothing.
yeah, if they're just not taking something, there's no point in.
Yeah, I just quit it. And I don't know if I've ever tried a tomato. I have tried strawberries. I didn't have any luck with strawberries.
Oh man, I always do, and I mean they that's a small amount compared to what I normally take
well,
in.
uh, isn't Canada a place where they do a lot of strawberry growing?
Oh, the money I made in the summers and when I was a kid, um, what I go and pick my own strawberries and then sell them. Like I could get paid by the farmer himself, in which I did some years, but other than that, normally I'd go and pay so much to pick my own and then set out a stand and sell strawberries. That's a
Well,
lot of
see,
people do
that's
that around here.
probably why then. See, that area is already used to having a lot of strawberries. Now where we're at, I mean, you got a few people. I've grown a few out back, but we don't really have any strawberry farms in our area. So maybe that is why they're used as a food source that they're used to having.
Oh yeah, strawberries are a big thing around here. If you're out of work in during strawberry season and you can't find a job, you're not looking.
Well, see, when we went to Niagara Falls, I thought I remembered seeing big old huge fields of strawberries. So that's why I thought, hey, I thought, okay, so let's go on to the next. Let's see what else we got here. This might be interesting.
So this is the I believe this is the first time this happened. I don't I don't know which one this that we found out that meant, but or in the Chinese writing.
Right.
But yeah, this is the first time you hear people talk about glyphs, and I've often been asked about it over the years, and I said, well, if I have, then I've missed them. So 2018 was the first time that I've ever had any type of have them do any type of, I don't know if you want to call it writing, or I don't know, stick writing, or you can call them glyphs if you want. I don't know. I'm a little weird on that, but anyway.
This was made right on your gifting rock, correct?
Yep. Gifts were gone. That was put there.
That's pretty neat.
So with some of these other ones, and I included a couple more, I think.
Okay. If we got the next one, that's more strawberries and
That's more strawberries.
Mm-hmm. Is that rhubarb?
Yeah, but when we were talking about what they'll take and what they won't take, the rhubarb was found like 2 or 3 feet away, so they weren't real keen on it, and I don't blame them.
Didn't they? Apparently, they take the tomatoes.
Yep.
I can't remember if I've ever gifted any tomatoes. That might be something I can try. Looks like you've got a couple of bulb. Is that garlic or?
That's garlic there, and that's a Christmas bulb. So that would have been in the mid-fall of 2018, because the reason that I put the bow there was because I knew that the baby must have been born by then, would have had to have been.
Well, see, we grow garlic. My dad's got all kinds behind his house of garlic we grow, and I got garlic here on my fence too now. So that might be something I can consider, because I've never gifted garlic neither. So really, in a way, the bowls are kind of like I guess you call them a toy or whatever. I'm pretty big on gifting toys, so. And this is some of the glyphs, I guess, that were left, right?
Now, yeah, and this is the one that we almost found the meaning of the Chinese symbol. I think it was for talk. The only difference between that and the Chinese symbol is one more line in between where the cross part is and where the square or rectangle part is.
Mm-hmm.
There would be one more line going in between there. And after we got this, I sent it off to Nancy, and I said, I don't even know what to make any of this, because I had paid no attention to people finding glyphs and saying this is what they mean, that's what they mean. Unless the Sasquatch tells you what it means, you don't know what it means. I'm sorry.
Just kind of guessing. I mean, that's
yeah, and it's okay to just guess, but people have to state things as if it's a for sure thing, and you don't know for sure. I'm sorry to tell you, but you don't.
Well, I kind of liken that to Bible, the Bible answers. Sometimes people can ask me a question about the Bible, and I know the answer. And sometimes they can ask me a question, I don't know the answer. And I always tell people, I said, don't be afraid to say, well, I don't know, but I'll try to find out for you. And that's what I usually do. I know some people who, especially when it comes to religion, they don't want to say they don't know the answer, especially if they're a pastor, a preacher, a teacher of some kind. They want to come up with an answer, and if they're not careful, they'll get their opinion into it, and it kind of messes it up when they'd be better off saying, well, I don't really know. I'm going to have to find out for you. Same with this kind of stuff here. We don't really know. we could kind of guess, and we have to look at. A lot of people look at Native American symbols and things like that, and like you said, we're looking. I think you were looking at Chinese and Japanese symbols and things, so to try to make a connection.
Well, Nancy went through. I know she did. She went through Roman. She went through. I don't know how many different languages and things of collections of symbols and stuff like that. And that one was really really close. Like I said, if it was one more line in between there, like I was, if there had been another stick laying in between there,
Hmm.
that would have been almost spot on.
And the thing is, some of these may be different and may vary per what they mean uh, per region. I
Oh,
mean,
and I would bet on that.
I may get something that's similar, but it may mean something a little
Hmm.
different than from something from your area. All right, let's see what we got next, Leo. I think this one's interesting.
So obviously, unless I know that something is left there for me to pick up and take home, I don't. It's the same with the structures and stuff like that. It is very rare that I'll actually put my hands on them. They don't belong to me, so I generally don't touch them. Now I have, but as a general rule, I don't. I'll stand there and take pictures, or I'll film and try to film the whole thing and just go over it back and forth slowly and to show how it's made and that. But I generally don't touch them. So I left that symbol thing. I just left it there. And the next time I came back in, those two seashells had been added to it.
What's that
No,
black thing?
it's a hole. It's a hole in
Okay,
the
all right.
hole in the
That's
shell.
what I thought. So,
So that was interesting. Why? Where are they getting those shells in the middle of the woods to put there? Now, I mean, I don't. Those could be freshwater mussels. I don't know. I
yeah,
brought them home, kept them, still have them in my bedside table. But um,
could be something that could actually be a food source for them too.
well, that's what I'm saying. Is it
You know?
that it could be mussels, and we do live in Nova Scotia, so on
Yeah,
either side we have the ocean. But where this is at, they're not close enough that I would think that they would.
right.
So anyway, it was cool. I have no idea why they left it, what they meant, or if they just left it because it was something they found and they thought was nice, so they left it. I don't know, but I kept them.
Maybe just kind of maybe a thank you for bringing the food or anything. You just something you don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I with a lot of the structures and stuff like that. It was we see that you're enjoying it, so we're going to keep doing it, kind of deal.
And for people who may not know, uh, Leo filmed some of this, and it's in our documentary, Bigfoot: The Legend Is Real. And oftentimes, when you would come up to the gifting area, there was vocals, there was tree knobs, and things like that he captured on camera, on audio and stuff with his cell phone. That you can actually listen to this in the film, and it's available on Tubi and Amazon and a whole bunch of places. So, you can watch it for free, and it don't have to cost you anything. There's more than just leaving the gifts and come back and there's something there. There's actually some audio of tree knocks and sounds and things like that you can see in the film.
We'll see the day that everything went wrong in Area Two, and we won't go into detail tonight because that's a whole other show. But um, how one of the reasons I knew something was off was because, like in the videos that I sent to you, there was no series of rapid knocks in one place and then slower response knocks to those ones coming from another. The knocks that happened as I was coming in, which happened frequently, I would get within 20 feet of the gifting rock. Sometimes I would get to the gifting rock, and immediately there's knocks going off. So someone's announcing to someone else that I'm there or a person's there. So, but that day the knocks weren't right. They were slow. They were drawn out, and it just. I said to Becca, I said something is off. The whole place just feels off. But either way, yeah, the knocks that are in that movie are that was a typical daytime reaction, and the rest of the time I'm trying to film things and having stuff thrown at me. So
Hey, Leo, while you talk about this structure, I will take myself off screen and turn my light on because right now I just look like a floating head. Woo! So I'll take myself off screen and you can tell us about this unique structure here while I turn my light on.
okay, so the stump that was just shown prior to Gifting Rocks, the original gifting spot, right at the end of this, there is a tree or trees that are growing up through there. I don't know what kind they are, but they are. They've manipulated them several times over, and there's more pictures that will show. But in diameter, once you see the whole thing with all the pictures together, it's absolutely enormous, complicated, and I'm sure that snow, weight, and I'm sure wind has done certain things to this to cause that. But as you'll see in the other pictures, uh, it's all part of this one thing. Not that obviously, but
Let's see.
yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So we've got that's off to one side. We've got two of them coming together. One that's jammed down in between.
Right there, yeah. I've seen that many times myself.
Mm-hmm.
That style where they jab something, and a lot of times it is actually jabbed into the ground as
And
well.
that's the thing. It is in two spots.
Okay,
In two places of this thing, it's jammed into the ground.
I totally get it, man. And what's funny is here we are hundreds of miles apart, and we're finding very similar things.
And it's been going on now for
Years.
7 or 8 years that we've been saying that exact thing.
Let's see.
Now this is what's on the other side of it. So
Yeah,
this on this side would be where I would put the apples and the gifts down.
okay.
So right down below there on this side of it is the gifting area.
Okay.
So this one here is wrapped around the back of the tree.
I've
And
like that too, man.
yeah, and then we have yet another uh, bow over that,
You got one here and one that way.
held down and twisted. Like this is all the same thing. When we're done looking at it, you go back and look at the first picture that you showed of it, where it just kind of shows like that, and then you can see all this detail.
Right there.
Now this is one mean, intricate
Wow.
thing that sorry, wind and snow did not do that. And they would change little things. I mean, there was a time when I went in, and on the one that's going to the right hand side, like to my right, there was a little pyramid type structure made out of next to nothing, just small bending of small branches and stuff, and like hooked under the top of that. It was connected to this. Well, that part right there, if you look at the center, that's I don't know, maybe 4.5 feet. The height is in the branches that come out and go like that.
Right. Yeah. Right here.
And then it varied from time to time.
Well, if that's 4 feet there, you're probably looking at 7 here or more.
Yeah, and there's I'm not sure how many more of that one that is on there, but and it gets higher than that.
Well, tell us about this now. To me, it looks like a heart. I don't know.
Well, this is up on the mountain where we got the pictures of Ivan.
Yeah.
So we went up that stream. We had just sat on that log and ate our lunch. Actually, we had Subway. We took Subway with us, so we sat there and ate our lunch and got our garbage all together and put it in the backpack and went upstream. We came back downstream, and that was sitting there. Now, it looks like a heart to us. Don't know if they know that or what, but it definitely wasn't there because my rear end was.
Well, the
And
thing is,
Becca was right beside me, so
if they don't understand it, it looks like a heart. They do understand that it's unique and different looking than the
yeah.
normal roundish rock.
To me, I'm sure is that with Valentine's Day and stuff like that, people do hang hearts outside. People
Sure.
do, so I'm sure they've seen it and must think it's something we enjoy. So, but whether it was that day or not, I don't know. But I know the rock was not there when we went up, and it was there when we came back down.
Well, see, you mentioned that, and there was something funny today. Even though we was hiking, there was when we hiked out, uh, there wasn't nothing that stood out to me on the trail itself. Well, coming back on a place where I know it wasn't there before, there was a large clump of moss that had been taken from somewhere and laid right in the trail on a rock. Uh, what did it? I don't know, but it was unusual for us because we talked about it. Me and my wife talked about it on the way out. I said that wasn't there when we come in because it wasn't far from, uh, the falls where we actually went to, and it wasn't there on the way in. It was just a big clump of moss that had like uh, little old things growing up in it, little weeds, and it was laid right out in the trail, and you could tell it'd been pulled off from somewhere. But I looked around, I couldn't find out where it came from. So I don't know. So what did it? I don't know. I have no idea. But that was
No,
something.
and that's the thing. It's just one of those. It's one of those odd things that happen. Could be something. Could be absolutely nothing at all. It's just one of those odd things that happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a squirrel did it.
I don't know how many squirrels are running around with clumps of moss, but
You never know. What have we got here now? This was this left after you had gifted some food.
this was definitely after I gifted food because I did that uh, almost every time I went in, unless like say I went in on a Wednesday and then went in on Thursday and nothing had been touched,
Mm-hmm.
then I didn't bother adding more to it. I just left it to see what if it was going to be taken. But so all of them are basically anything that I've got in return has either been where I've been away for an extended period of time, as in more than a week, or right after I give food and toys.
The winter time's the hardest for me because I have to go across a pretty big mountain to get to where I want to go. And even if it's not very snowy down here, when you get to the mountain, you're looking at 6, 8, 10 inches or more of snow, which makes it hard. And I don't like the cold. I'm older now, and I don't really like the cold very well.
Well, and I'm completely shut out in the winter. I can get in to a certain part of Area One, but I can't get anywhere near crossing the creek because the creek has now become a big mushy, half frozen swamp. And once that happens, that's the end of my year until spring.
What have we got here?
Well, this is the first of a series of things that happened with these black flat rocks. These were left. This one at this time was four. Now there's been they have gone from four to piles of a dozen, but in two different piles.
Hmm.
And I haven't got a clue, man. I have no idea what the point of it was. I have not a clue.
How about the rocks? Are the rocks somewhere? Have you seen them out there in the field somewhere?
There is a lot of slate rock, and it's a rocky area. So to say that there's no, I haven't seen any that dark. But to say that I haven't seen any, I'm sure I have. But unusual for right in that area. Very unusual for right in that area.
Well, one thing that we should say too, we know that you're leaving food and you're getting stuff back like this. That a bear's not doing it, a squirrel's not doing it. I mean, another animal is not doing this. chipmunks not bringing out 4 rocks and land and thanking you for bringing an apple. I
No,
don't.
it comes down to two things. It's um, either it would be either Sasquatch or there's humans going in there and screwing with me and continuing it on all these years and keeping their mouth shut and not leaving one single human footprint. The only human footprints that I have found in there, and I've I've actually spooked myself more than one time, but the only human footprints that I've found in there belong to me. But I have looked down and thought, oh, there's a boot print, and I, well, it's yours, you idiot, from last week.
All right, let's see what we got now. I thought this one was kind of interesting, Leo.
Yeah, it was interesting for me. Um, this was in getting to the late in season of 2017 because I hadn't yet. I had to get the courage up to cross that creek and go over into what I call Area 2 now.
Mhm.
I was stuck basically in Area 1 and I wasn't going to leave. But anyway, the next spring I did. Uh, this was a rock that, again, it's just a plain rock. Should definitely not be in within this area. On the side of the road, you have to go down a dirt road and actually two dirt roads. On the side of that road, yes. In this area in the woods, no, it shouldn't be there, and it shouldn't have a coating on it that like semi shiny, uh, thick, but it wasn't sticky or anything. It had zero smell. There was no smell to it, and but I could still take the rock and drop it on. So I remember bringing it home and dropping it on the top of my laptop, and little pieces, little sand, a little bit of sand size pieces were falling off. So they were coming through whatever this coating was, but I
Why
have
would you
I
want it
have
being on the leaf?
why would it be on the leaf? I have no idea.
I mean, that. I don't think that would randomly happen naturally. Is what
Well,
I'm.
that didn't happen, man. That didn't
There's
happen
no way.
naturally. No.
I just don't. That has to be something
But
that's.
you know what though? Now that you say that, look at the color of the gifting stump and the color of the rock.
Yeah,
The leaf would make it stand out to make sure it wasn't missed.
yeah. Maybe that's why that was the purpose.
Who knows? But no, I really don't know why it was left on a leaf. But
Hmm.
the thing that got me about it was that the coating that was over it.
Hmm. That's kind of cool. And that's the thing we looked at, and that's the thing, and that's it, Leo. Before we close out on your part of the gifting and go to mine, let me ask you this, and you can answer it. What have you found other than the rhubarb that they would not eat or take?
There's been several. I remember when you started back gifting again, and I said the dollar store is about to become your best friend.
Yeah.
Well, there were several things from the dollar store they didn't take. It's not very often. I've always kind of stuck with the same types of food, but as a staple. But I'll throw in something different now and again. But as far as food, it's not a whole lot of different foods that they haven't taken. But like I said, you don't always know what they took and
Right.
what other animals
You
took.
do know the rhbarb that nothing didn't really like it, right?
Well, I mean, it's rhubarb, right? So unless you're gonna mix it with strawberries and make a pie, nobody or nothing's gonna like it. So no.
That's funny.
But
Uh, I'm loading up some pictures now for myself.
mostly dollar store items, and I same thing kind of happened to me with the mirror, but they immediately smashed the mirror, as in put a crack right down through the middle of it.
Well,
Didn't
I've
smash.
been using mirrors as well, so
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. For whatever reason, the mirror ended up with a crack down through the middle of it, but it wasn't all smashed up. But They did not.
Somebody want to know if you still had the rock, the little white rock.
I think so. I kept pretty much everything that they've gifted.
Cool.
In Nova Scotia. In New Brunswick, I lost. It ended up being kept by somebody else, which is okay because some of the things they gifted up there were dead rabbits, dead birds, and they actually did these woven things with birch bark. But yeah, it wasn't unusual for there to be a rabbit laying there with a broken neck. So, but no, there would have been things that I would have wanted to keep, but it wasn't an option.
Well, before we get into my thing, what I've been gifting, I know you've been doing it for many years. I started out doing some gifting once I got into an area where I knew there was activity. I'd done it just a little bit, left some stuff, uh, and then I would go months, weeks, not leave anything, and then I think, well, maybe I'm going to try it again, and I'd put maybe a couple apples out or something like that, and I didn't really try real hard, I guess, to be consistent with it. But probably the last 2 years or so, I've been pretty consistent. Got a specific day I go. I try to go. Well, last year I went every day, but on that specific day, which was a Thursday, I would go every Thursday, rain, shine, whatever, all the way up into the winter. I didn't miss. I don't think I might have missed 2 days through the summer, or two Thursdays. But I try to be real consistent with it because I wanted to be in the area as often as I could. And a lot of times, even through the week, I would go. Maybe I would go in on Monday and just explore somewhere close to the area, and then go back on Thursday to actually check the gifting area and leave something else out. So what I'm going to show you now, this is from most of the stuff I'm going to show you now is from 2021 and 22. Most of it will be 22. This is from January 27th, if I'm not mistaken. This is some stuff that I'd left, but I'd had some prior activity to this uh, before. I had taken orange ball, which was about the size of one of those oranges you're looking at there, uh, and the ball disappeared. Well, the ball stayed gone for a long time, and then one day I go in and there's the ball laying in behind the gifting area, uh, and it's a place where I would walk every time. I got a certain pattern I do. I'll go in and gift. I'll walk to the right of this rock, and I'll make a circle back to the left and back to the right. I do the pattern every time. I do not fail to do the pattern, and I look for stuff that where maybe if another animal got it or whatever. It's on the little hill behind it. I do that pattern every time. So that ball showed up in my pattern a long time, months later. So I got another ball and put out there. This one was a green one, a funny green. Uh, it disappeared and it's been gone for months. It's never came back. So I've had some things go on there, but I've also had, I know, like had a bear come in once and eat some stuff. And how I know it was a bear, he left me a big old dump there on my rock. So I had to, I cleaned it off. I cleaned it off. I didn't, because I'd already been using this area for a long time and I didn't want to give it up because the bear took a dump there. Uh, so I cleaned it off and I continued gifting there for a long time. Uh,
That
Apples.
was a gifting rock, so he decided to leave you a gift, I guess.
He left me a gift. Apples. What's important? See this little gnome here? I've had him there for months, months. Namira, ribbon. I think those are some kind of like a Pringle, but they're diabetic. They're for like diabetics. They're got low carbs and all that kind of stuff. They don't taste too bad. My son has to have them. And of course, I'll leave marbles. And at one time, I think that you can see that right there. That was a no. That's another jewel. But I did have a quarter there for a long time. Uh, And the thing behind with a quarter, I wanted to see if it would be flipped over. I would leave it a certain way. I'd take a picture of it, and when I come back in, I'd want to see if it's flipped over. And that worked for a pretty good while until it rained on it and the quarter got tarnished. I'd always make this little teepee thing too. And if you can look, that there's actually ice on that. This was back in January. One thing I found out that nothing would eat the oranges. I didn't have anything eat the oranges. Uh, Nothing liked them. I didn't get it. So, but I like to use toys a lot. Mirrors. I actually behind this is another mirror hanging in a tree, which is much bigger than this one. It used to be laying on the rock. It's blue and it's about twice as big as that. And I come in one day and it was gone. Uh, Scout around and do my little pattern in behind it, and I look, and probably I don't know 30 yards away, I see something blue laid on the side of the bank. So I make my way over to it because it's pretty steep on that side, and I pick it up, and there's not a mark on it, like a bite mark or a claw mark or anything like that. It's just as if somebody picked it up and walked it over and got tired of it and just threw it down. Uh, I would think that if it was a bear, there would have been some kind of bite marks. They would have tasted it to see if it was any good. So I got the mirror and brought it back and hung it in a tree, and it's still hanging there now. Or well, last time I was there, it's still hanging
And
there.
that's something we should point out too, is that skeptics and people that just hate the idea that anybody should gift because they can't separate the difference between gifting and baiting. So
Right.
it's two completely different things. But people don't like people in the Bigfoot community don't like anybody trying anything different anyway. So you're not going to please everybody.
Well, one
But
thing too, I've not shared hardly any of this. I've been gifting for a long time, and I've not shared any of it really. Just very little on our YouTube. Very little in our members only section. I've shared a few little things there, and I got more stuff I can share at some point.
the important thing that people need to know is that we're not stupid. The people that do this are not stupid enough to think, because they're always pointing out, oh, it's other animals coming in and taking it. It's other animals coming in and doing this. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? We're not stupid enough to think that other animals aren't coming in and messing with our
Right.
gifts. Of course they are.
When I used to, I ran game cameras in here, and I cut up some apples and put on a big rock, and I had a game cam close, and a crow would come in and picked up a whole apple and flew off with it.
Mhm.
So but now at this point, I've had the game cameras out of there for a long time. I've quit doing the game cams in this area because I want to try to advance the gifting. Recently, I ran two cameras in there for about 3 days in different locations, just for fun, I guess, just to see what was going on. But in my gifting area, I've not got cameras in there, game cams. But yeah, the apples are always gone. The oranges they didn't like, but it gets better. This is another time. I think this was this in March? Yeah, this was in March. As you can see, the little figurines still there. I always remake my little TP thing for fun. I lay my little jewels in a pattern normally. These are fresh apples, and you can see the oranges and stuff they're just decomposing. Nothing, nothing cared for the oranges. And I added a little man this time, a little wooden nutcracker guy, I guess you call him. But now one time I came in, I don't remember the exact date. I got it on video, but this little gnome guy was moved from right here, and like he was moved over into this area, and he was still setting up.
And
Watching.
I'm sitting here nodding my head because Tom and I share a lot of stuff that doesn't go uh, public as far as gifting and stuff like that. So I'm sitting here nodding my head because I'm remembering all the times that these things happen.
So what would move the little gnome and move it, I don't know, about 2 feet, and it still be setting up. It would. I wouldn't think it would be a squirrel or anything like that would actually set it up. Now I've come in many times and squirrels or chipmunks have got into it and knocked stuff around and things are knocked over. but what would move it and set it up 2 foot away and it still be setting up? To me, I found it very unusual, and it was unexpected when I went in there that day. All the stuff was gone. As far as the food and the toys were still there, but that gnome at the time, I think he was the only toy in there or the only stand-up toy, and it had been moved and was still standing up, which I thought was kind of neat.
I know you had the marbles, and I know you had the little jewel things
Mm-hmm.
at the time.
Yeah, I've had something interesting happen with marbles recently that was moved from here. If you can see the shadow here on the right, that's an old log that's laying there, and some of the marbles were actually moved out into the middle of this log. And then I come back later, and the marbles were gone. So I put some more marbles out there myself, and one of them's gone, one of them stayed. So which there's a lot going on at times there. I don't know exactly what's. I can't say it's Bigfoot, but some weird stuff has went on there. And I do get occasional structures right close uh, to the gifting area. Uh, that's there's actually about 2 or 3 X's right here in this general area, and this is very close to where I documented the TP-ish type formation for about 3 years. And you can see the dates on this of what has moved. Oh, I forgot about this. You see the big fly? He disappeared too for about, I don't know, maybe a month or so, and then all at once he came back. Uh, which is that's really weird. Why would they bring it back or whatever took it? Uh,
Yeah, but see, I told you. I said they're gonna do things like I told you they're gonna rearrange things,
they
and
do.
they want you to rearrange them in another way. And when you come back and they're rearranged in yet a third way, then you know that you got action going on. Something's doing it. So I remember us talking about that. But they will still do things to test you out at the same time.
Go back, go back. Also, let me go back again. Come on, man. Is that it? No, let's go back. Right here. I also give them a sour ball, a lemon head. But you can see this has been a little while. I gave them a kazoo too. I don't know. It's been moved. I don't know what moved it. But if you'll look right here, I actually kind of spelled out high, Hi, with the things, and then when I come back there, it's all messed up. I mean, maybe a squirrel or something did it. And if you'll notice, the fly is actually moved quite a good ways. Candy bar was gone. All the apples are gone. Uh, I ain't for sure exactly what's doing it, but something's going on.
Well, it's like I said, people assume that we don't know that other animals can get into our gifting stuff and take it. We do know that. But
Right.
there are certain things that happen that you cannot put on an animal. You can't.
Well,
An
if
animal is
something,
not going to sit there and play tic tac toe with your,
right,
with beads and stuff, things that you leave out that way.
and it's
Animals
not
are not
going to
going to
take
make
something and
something
bring
in.
it back months
Yeah,
later.
they're not gonna do that. I think you probably remember me telling you about the pot that I used to put the apples in.
Hmm.
3 months they took it away. They took off with it for 3 months. Three
Well,
and 3 months later, it's back on the game trail on the way in, turned upside down with sticks on top of it.
uh,
So
one thing
animals aren't going to bring that stuff back. They don't care.
one thing I probably should point out too, and it just slips my mind because there's so much going on. If you'll notice these toys, these toys, they're all gone. Every toy I had there is gone. The little gnome that's been there for probably close to a year is gone. I have no idea where he's at. The little wooden man gone. The little teddy bear gone, and the little panda bear gone. All of them are gone. The only thing that was not gone was the fly, and it was seemed like it had just came back not too long before that. But all them toys are gone. They've been gone now for probably a month, and I've not found any sign of them anywhere. And I really roam this area heavily, and just to me, it's odd that the little gnome would be there for almost probably 8 months, anyways, and then all at once he's gone.
Yeah, it is odd, but I mean the whole gifting thing is odd anyway.
And this
It
year,
doesn't get fun until things get odd.
and this year is a week apart. I actually brought a harmonica this time in, and that is not nuts in that. It was empty, and I put Cracker Jack in it. And when I come back to get it, the whole can was gone. It wasn't just carried off behind it because I always do my little routine. The buyer didn't just take it over here behind it and tear it up and eat it. The whole can is gone, and again, it's not come back. I was over there a week ago, and the can is still not there. And the TP, of course, is tore down, and the fly had been moved again too, as you can see, but I think I ended up finding him. I don't know, man. It's just kind of weird.
It's more than kind of weird. You water it down because you don't want to be disappointed if you don't get a sighting instantly. But 4 years, man, 4 years I did this and did not get that sighting. It's for 4 years. So I put up with odd things happening and structures being built and all that. So it's a process. If you're going to get into it, it's a process, but it works.
I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it because even though I may not be able to know exactly what's going on, I know there's some stuff going on that I cannot attribute to just regular animal behavior. And they asked me if there were small ones in the area. I have found small tracks here all the way down to about 10 inches. And I found tracks as large as all the way up to about 22 inches in the same general area, and a whole bunch in between. So they used to frequent this area, seemed like more often about 5 years ago than they do now, but they still do come through here. And that's how I left it on the 9th, and that's how on the 15th. What is cool about this, I brought another. Yeah, go back, dude. I brought another can of nuts, empty can of nuts, and this time I put dog food in it. Well, something that actually ate the dog food, and it took the lid off and ate the dog food. All the dog food was gone. So I got I brought the next time I brought some more Cracker Jack, and I used the same thing and filled it back up and set it back. And I've not went back and checked it yet, of course. But what was interesting about this is that I didn't even realize it, but all these suckers were gone, and I didn't see a stick or a wrapper or anything like that close by. And I made a different thing this time too. I didn't make the teepee. I made like I don't know a Y with a thing across it.
Well, as far as the suckers, they might have been taken home to be shown to someone else before they got into.
Well,
to make sure what they were.
Well, you think if a bear or squirrel or whatever ate a sucker right there close by,
it'd be a mess all over the place.
That'd be a wrapper. That'd be a stick. It's one of those little paper sticks. And of course, this is how it looked when I came in. And if you notice the fly, of course, he's been moved again. I don't know what the deal is with the fly, but where I spelled out high, it was totally messed up, and the little glyph thing that I made is totally messed up. And the harmonica and kazoo, of course, has been moved some, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know, there's just some weird stuff going on. And of course, it seems like something is eating the lemon heads. My wife really likes the lemon heads, but I don't really like them that good. They're kind of bitter and sour to me.
I don't understand the whole sour thing with people.
Them's too strong for me.
Well, I don't understand enjoying anything sour, but a lot of girls that I hung out with in school, for lack of a better term, um, they they uh, they all like really sour candies and stuff like that. Like, why are you purposely eating something that's unpleasant to eat? I don't. I never understood that.
All right, let's go to the next one. I think I'm about done now. This what's interesting about this. I hope you can see that indention of a track there, about a 13, 14-inch track, roughly. But this is an area where I don't. When I go into my gifting area, I got a set pattern I go in every time. I don't vary, and I got a pattern I go back below the gifting area that I don't vary. This is a place where I don't necessarily travel as far as putting my foot. So, and this is the toes, and it was going right toward the gifting area. It was within uh, 20 yards maybe of the gifting area, maybe less. And the ground is pretty rocky in there, so it was. I was just so happening to find that by accident because I had actually varied my path that day because I wanted to go back to the gifting area for some reason. I just felt compelled to go back up there and check it after I'd already set it back up. And when I was doing it, I took a path I normally don't take, and that's when I found this track. And I thought, wait a minute, I know I've not traveled this area, and this looks like a Bigfoot track. I've got some other pictures of it too, but there's kind of a little bit of toes in there, and the heel goes plumb back in here. You can see. So there's stuff going on in there. I just don't exactly know what, but there's some weird stuff going on.
Until you are not going to admit that until you walk in and see three or four of them sitting on that rock, chowing down on it won't be nothing else will be acceptable. It'll have to be exactly what you brought. There'll have to be three of them sitting on the rock, chowing down on what you brought, or it's not them.
I've had a lot of weird stuff going in there. Now this is also right in the place where I heard them talking.
Mhm.
Uh, that's where I've had tree knocks. I've had them holler at me several times, very close to this area. But now the tree knocks and the vocals were right here, right on my path to where I normally go. And I don't know if having a pattern really makes any difference. For a long time, I even made it a point to wear the same exact clothes every time I went in there, so they would be familiar with what I wore and what I looked like every time. But now that I've been doing it for a long time, of course I change my clothes and stuff up. Uh, I guess it don't matter now. They probably I'm pretty sure if they see me, they know me. They probably know my track. I'm in there so much.
They know you, or they wouldn't be doing anything with the gifts. Because like I said, the most important thing if you're gonna try a gifting area, go there and be seen. Keep being seen in that area. You go in, just hang out there, sit on the ground, play guitar. Just be seen in that area, and then start doing your gifting in that area, and be seen as often as possible. And routine is a good thing. Um, but it's not set in stone because your life's not that way. And I
Right.
think they understand that. I think they understand that, yes, you are going to come back, and they're going to continue to do their thing, and you're going to continue to do yours. And then the next thing you know, you got the freakiest looking one you've ever seen staring right at you. So that's what you got to look forward to, buddy.
Well, I'm gonna keep doing it, even though sometimes I get really frustrated because I want more. I've had actually when I first got into this area, I actually had more going on as far as being maybe interacting as far as wood knocks and speech and stuff like that. But I'm gonna keep doing it. I mean, I've been the one I heard talk was really close, but it was in mountain laurels that are 10, 12 foot tall and thick, and I couldn't see it. Uh, I filmed, and I even went back on the film. I had just an old crappy uh, $20 camera, and not it was stupid to even have it, I guess, but it's all I could afford at the time. Uh, and I even tried to use it and go back and look, but I couldn't see anything.
Well, I tried to go cheap on a camera when, well, I mean, in 2018 when things really picked up and went nutso in there. Um, Activity picked up, and it went from me thinking that he was by himself to finding out he's got this, reasonably good sized family. So I wanted something better than my ex's cell phone for a camera. So I went to Walmart and found a camera for about $30. I got it home and find out it's this cheap version of a complicated underwater camera.
Oh boy.
So I never took if I took a picture with it, then I did it by accident. But anyway, that's somebody off in some landfill somewhere now. It never got used.
Uh, what I enjoy gifting. I just wish I just want something more. I would, to really confirm and drive it home that it's not just a squirrel. But the toys, the thing with the toys, there's just no way the toys disappeared all at the same time, and a bear took them. Uh, you know, there's just no way. I just don't.
Well,
I
like I said, we both know, and we people don't give people that gift. They don't give them the credit of thinking that we're smart enough to know that yes, some of our stuff is getting messed with by animals, but then you get stuff that you can rule animal out 100%. Does that by default make Bigfoot? No, but the entire situation, you have to take the whole situation into context. You're getting gifts, or you're getting tracks up near uh, the area. Same with me, tracks around there. You videos with the knocking and vocals and all of that.
stick
I mean,
structure.
and there's not bears are not climbing up on that rock trying to write things to me with sticks. They're not.
Uh, well, I
Bear,
just
bear,
hope mine advances more that I can get a visual or maybe even like you did. If I go into the area and I hear some knocks or something while I'm gifting, uh, that would be kind of interesting.
and no, but again though, remember it took four years to get the sighting, and
Yeah.
then from there I get bombarded with a female and a small one all in the same day without even knowing that I had the small one. But uh, so things were really hectic as far as activity, but right in the gifting area itself, it wasn't in either gifting area. It wasn't instant. It was instant that they were taking the gifts, and it was instant that they were doing these things that Mother Nature just can't do.
Well,
So
I will answer the question too that I asked you about what they don't like. They didn't like the oranges. I've had no luck with bananas. They didn't like bananas, which was weird. I like bananas. I ain't like oranges. That was the two main things that I guess they never would really take from me. Even nothing, really anything wouldn't take them. I, not necessarily just Bigfoot. I don't know of anything that ate the oranges or the bananas. They would just lay
well,
there and decompose.
I'll give you my opinion on the oranges and the bananas. How
Sure.
many oranges and bananas do you have growing locally?
None. And that's probably why.
If you bit into an orange, like you even picked it up and smelled it, and oranges aren't particularly appealing unless they're very sweet and they're good oranges.
No.
Because you can buy some pretty miserable tasting oranges.
Well, it's
Uh,
just like strawberries with you. I mean, it's a pretty common food source for you
yeah,
guys.
well, and we're in Nova Scotia. We're in the apple capital of this part of Canada. So, um, if you were to bite into a banana with the peel still on it, wouldn't be very appealing to you either. So if they didn't if they weren't familiar with it and didn't know what they should do with it, then maybe that could be why. Who knows?
I'm going to keep doing it, but our time is getting kind of close. Let's get to this next thing, and I got another bonus thing that we're probably not going to get to tonight. Uh, but the thing I'm fixing to show you has been it's been smoking up the internet. I mean, it's people really just went wild over it. This was in the, if I remember correctly, and I'm running off of memory, this was in Texas at the Amarillo Zoo, uh,
Yep.
captured on the security camera. And people are speculating that it's a dog man, it's a werewolf, chupacabra. Uh, Somebody said it was just a person, and somebody said it was a dog, I believe, just a regular normal dog walking around. Um, which the picture is, at first glance, is kind of interesting. If someone had at their house had said, "Man, I don't know what this is. I caught this on outside my fence at my house," you might say, "Well, what is it?" But this was at a zoo. That the thing is, they don't have just a camera that is taking pictures. It has to be. I won't say it has to be. Most likely, it's taking video as well. So the zoo people know exactly what this is.
And that was the end of it for me. The minute I saw it, I said, they're not. And I know people went nuts, and it was all over the place. You couldn't avoid it. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as they said it was at a zoo, I said that would not have been a picture. They have the video before, they have the video after. It's a promotional thing. And
That's what
the
I thought.
very next thing that you said, the next time I saw anything of yours, was, folks, this is a promotional thing.
It's a PR
So,
stunt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, see, a lot of people send it to me and want to know what I thought about it. Did you see this? What
I
do you
know.
think?
I got the same thing.
I said, well, I think it's if anything, it's a person in a cheap werewolf costume, and the zoo is using it to promote. Uh, but seeing it's working. I don't know if you've seen this headline or not. Company donates 80 cameras to Texas Zoo after photo of object goes viral. So somebody donated them 80 cameras for this zoo. I went to their Facebook page, and their Facebook page was blowing up with comments uh, and stuff like that. So it's a marketing thing. It's a PR stunt to do exactly what it's doing. To get people to their website, their Facebook page, and to their zoo, and get people talking about it. It's really a smart PR stunt. And I'd even seen a quote that somebody from the zoo had said that they just wanted people to have fun with it. So that tells me
That's
that
telling you right there.
ooh,
Yeah.
they knew what it was, and they knew it's not a cryptid or a werewolf or a dog man or anything like that. They're using it to get views.
But man, times are tough all over. That could be a female dog man trolling the zoo for some customers. She could be a lady of the night. We don't know.
Well, through my technique, I was able to get a close up color view of it. So that's probably it right there. This is old Pete that works at the zoo. He's donning the costume. I don't know about that. It's just this is a random costume that looks similar to me.
And he's wearing skinny jeans,
Wearing
just
skinny
like
jeans.
the
Yeah,
just like the picture. So,
but if
but
you'll
yeah,
go,
that would have all been caught on videotape. It's
sure.
ridiculous to think it's anything more than fun. But
If you go to Amazon and type in werewolf costume, you'll see all kinds of similar looking uh, werewolf suits. Not saying that this is a guy wearing a werewolf suit in the picture, because he may just have a stupid hat on and a long sleeve shirt or something. I don't know, but it's either way, it's not real. It is a PR stunt that the zoo is pulling, and smart by them because it's really helped them. See, it looks very similar.
yeah,
Has he got something in his hand? Maybe that is a maybe he's going to a barbecue, and that's something he's got a barbecue grill with or something, a spatula. One of them forky things that you poke the wieners with.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how things like that get 80 cameras
Yeah,
because of this.
and if you'll actually type in the Texas Zoo picture, I mean, unreal at the stories and links and news coverage and all that kind of stuff on something that obviously is a PR stunt to get views, and it worked. But I know people who believe it. I know people who are 100% sure that this is a dog man.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, but no, it's just a baloney story.
All I want is Fleer or something like that. I don't want any other fancy equipment for the rest of my life. The only thing I want is some sort of night vision that can record, and that's all I hope for. I'm going out and getting me one of those suits, and I'm going to get some cameras donated to me.
Well, if you're legit like we are, Leo, you don't get anything hardly donated to you. Trust me, I've tried back when I was.
Well, I've got to have. Well, I'm going to have the money donated to me first, so I can go buy the suit. But
Well, I couldn't even. I mean, back when I didn't have money really to hardly do anything, I couldn't get anybody to help me at all. I just had to keep plugging and plugging and plugging until things got better.
if you're, I mean, there are people that make money within the Bigfoot community, but
Yeah.
not by going out pounding the woods. That's not where they're making their money.
Well, I know some people who don't think you should make any money off of your efforts, and I don't see that neither. I think it's okay to make money, but I think you should be honest in what you do. I don't think you should hoax and fake and stuff like that to get money.
Well, I'll say this: if and I think a good majority of the people that would complain about that would be people that have tried it themselves with their little stickers and stuff like that. Maybe they didn't sell or whatever. They're a little bitter. And then you have these high and mighty people that think that anything besides seeing them it's wrong. You shouldn't take pictures of them. You shouldn't this. You shouldn't that. Uh, and my answer to that would be if it wasn't going to be allowed to happen, it wouldn't happen. So, but as far as making money off of it, this is something that you enjoy, something that you're out doing all the time. You're upfront with what you're offering as a product. You're not saying, when you put out a movie, what you see is what you get. This is what we filmed, and this is what, it would be different if you were out scamming people. And to those ones that would say that what you do to make money, I seem to recall that there's several people that are worshipped like gods that will take your money and tell you you're almost guaranteed to have an experience with them. They take your money, go in the woods, and what happens? They start getting mind speak from all these Bigfoot telling them, well, we're not going to show up today, but we're here. Yeah, but we're just not going to show ourselves today. That's what you get for your $1,000, or you get your $1,300 given to some guy that likes to play with puppets, and then he calls you back and says, "I'm sorry, but the trip's canceled. I have to unload the rest of the rubber gloves from the back of my truck, so I'm too busy." So and then turns around and refuses to give you your money back. Those are the people that are promising you something that that they cannot deliver on for a set amount of money is ridiculous. People that make Bigfoot movies because it's something they enjoy, shut up. If you don't want to watch them, don't watch them. But don't come down on people that write books, that make movies and stuff like that. Don't agree with it. Don't buy it. Don't read it.
Well, me and you both know that we both got more time and money invested than we'll ever get back.
In 10 lifetimes, in just gas alone, in 10 lifetimes, we would not get it back.
But I know people who don't even want to go to Bigfoot conferences, and because they call them flea markets and stuff like that. And then in some ways, maybe they are kind of like a flea market. But I like buying Bigfoot stuff sometimes. And if you go to a conference, usually there's some items that you can't find online, custom artwork or it's like my sign I got out here in my yard. It says "Welcome." It's a chainsaw carved Bigfoot thing. On my Facebook page, I recently repainted it again. That you can't buy that online. You have to buy it at a convention or something. And this guy's a local guy that he had lost his job in the coal mine. It didn't even know he could do chainsaw carvings, and then he started doing stuff. He can't draw. He's not even as far as taking a pencil and drawing. He can't hardly draw, but he can take a chainsaw and carve a bear out of it. Or he can. One thing was eagles. He done eagles and he done benches and he done started doing Bigfoot stuff. And I got this thing off of him. I got a Bigfoot that he carved as well, standing out in my flower bed. It's starting to deteriorate, but it's several years old. And stuff like that you just can't find unless you go sometimes to a conference or whatever. I've sold stuff at conferences like DVDs and stuff like that. But you talk about taking somebody out in the mountains. I've took several people out with me. I can't recall ever charging them anything.
Well, and that's the thing is that if you have to pay for someone's presence in the woods with you, and if you're throwing in money together to help out on a expedition, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
then throwing your money together, that's fine. But if someone is telling you that you have to pay them a certain amount just for them to be to accompany you in the woods, and are making a hint that they're guaranteeing a sighting or some kind of experience, nobody can do that, and don't let them tell you they can, because the ones that tell you they can do that are the ones that take you in the woods and say, "Oh, Bigfoot just told me that they're somewhere else. They can't get to us, so you're not going to see them today."
They're on vacation.
That stunt has been. I know one woman that has been pulling that stunt for 30 years, and she gets paid for it every time.
Well, I had my friend Guy uh, come from Arkansas. Uh, I only got to know him through email first, and he wanted to come out and have me take him out into the Bigfoot areas. And I had him. He come out here, and we spent the first time we spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, something like that, maybe four, out in the mountains together. But before he ever came, I told him, I said, "Man, I can't guarantee you we'll find or see anything." But it just so happened we found a lot of tracks, and we actually had a sighting. Was been a little over a year ago, where we looked at with binoculars right at one from about right here up, about the shoulders up, standing next to a tree. And he recently came back again, and we spent 5 days out. We didn't have a visual or anything like that, but we found quite a few tracks, and he had certain tracks he wanted to cast for his collection, like a hind foot of a bear, and one of them was an elk track and things like that. And we done that, so we had a good time. But I can't guarantee you we'll find anything if you come.
If anybody throws that out there, run the other direction, because you're about to get bamboozled.
And as far as making money off of something that you like to do, I don't see a thing wrong with it as long as you're honest. And anything that I do, I try to be as honest as I know how. Uh, it's not my intent to fool or deceive anyone.
And again, it's the bunch that I said, and the bunch that wish that they could do it. And because there's really, why would you not, if you could make your passion into your job, who name me one person that wouldn't do that?
Right? Yeah.
That's a ridiculous. Everything is up front. If there's a reenactment, it's labeled as a reenactment.
Yeah.
So no, that's the argument towards you making the money that you do is it's all hard work, and it's all 100% honest and upfront. And if a reenactment is going to be labeled a reenactment, you're not bamboozling anybody out of their cash.
No, no, that's for sure. Speaking of which, before we get ready to log off here in the stream, I do want to alert everybody to this is a film that got a lot of good evidence, got a lot of stuff from Leo in it. It's got a lot of field research from myself and Tony Pelosi. We've got several interviews and stories in this film that have never been told before. We've got things about firsthand knowledge of giant skulls and bones being found uh, with witness interview. Several stories about that from secondhand stuff that from people we know that were not on camera, of course, but one lady who actually seen them, uh, she she's on camera. Well, there's a lot of good stories in it, reports in it, and you can see some of Leo's footage, and you can see some of his knocks and sounds and vocals that he had while he was gifting. We was talking about gifting tonight, and we mentioned if you didn't tune in earlier, a lot of times when Leo would gift, he would also get wood knocks as he was gifting, and sometimes vocals and whatever, and it was captured on camera, and it's actually featured in this documentary that I did. COVID kind of derailed our documentary, or everything we wanted to do. It's still a solid documentary, but there was some stuff that we wanted to do that when COVID first hit, we couldn't do it because you wasn't really allowed to travel, and nobody didn't want to get out and do anything and wanted to lay low. They didn't know how bad it's going to be. So, but we are working on maybe a follow up to this. We're real early in it, but you can actually go on Tubi TV and watch it for free. I actually have 14 films or 15 of my personal films on there. Some of the older ones are not very good quality. Like I said earlier, that first camera I was using was about a $20-$30 camera, but I got better equipment now, so I've been blessed on that anyway. But if you get a chance, I know Leo and I both would appreciate it if you go watch the film.
Absolutely.
All right.
So we just did we just let the cat out of the bag of what we're working on?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't care to let people know that we are trying to work on another follow-up film to that. And I've actually got a couple other projects that's simmering in the background just a little bit. I've had a lot to go on in the last few months, and I have. I've had a lot of my family's had a lot of sickness. We've had a death. This coming Wednesday will be a week that we buried my uncle. Pancreatic cancer. Several other people in my family sick. My dad's had a lot of heart problems. He's wearing a life vest. I call it a life vest. If his heart stops, it will shock him back. But he's doing well. His heart, the strength of his muscle pumping has really came up with the medicine. He's doing very well. He's actually back doing things he probably shouldn't be doing, like weeding and mowing grass and.
Yeah, but you knew he was gonna though. That's the thing.
Yeah, for when he was really sick there, I was taking care of mom and dad's grass and my grass and stuff like that, and I don't care a bit to do it. But I know it was only a matter of time when he started feeling better that I'd look out and he'd be out doing something. Well, he loves that weed eater, man. But I've had a lot going on, so I mean, I've not been able to keep up on my work and stuff as I would much as I'd like to. We have got several audio books or actual books that's being made into audio books that's in production. But the biggest thing I found with that, narrators will sign on and sign a contract to do the narration, and you set a time frame of when they're supposed to give you a 15-minute sample, and then they're supposed to give you the finished product at another date. And I've run into more people who will not honor their word. Something always happens. They can't do the work. So when that happens, you have to go through the process of canceling the contract and then advertising again for a new narrator. And so it slows the process down. I've had 2 or 3 books like that I've done that way. And I understand life gets in the way sometimes, but some of the people have been really good, and they deliver their, what they say they're going to do and sign the contract, but some of them don't.
And you're going to find that in every industry.
Yeah, that's I've been involved in films and such for a long time. Even back in the video store days when I owned video stores, we would go to those big shows and we kind of had a hand in some things back then. But so I've been involved in the industry one way or the other for a long, long time, and that's hard to a lot of people's not what they're cracked up to be. I guess is the is the best way to say it. And I understand it's always hard to be. I'm looking for the word. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. To be legit all the time, I guess, is hard for some people.
I don't know. I would think that the way I'd look at it is, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yeah. Well,
It's not that hard.
yeah.
If you're gonna hurt someone, don't say it. If it feels wrong to do, don't do it.
Well, you've had a little bit of experience with dealing with TV shows.
Yeah.
And if you recall, I told you had to kind of keep a guard up on some of those cats because I've dealt with them for years. And even though they talk a good show, sometimes when it comes to delivering, it comes out the opposite of what they tell you.
They completely. I mean, the one person um, that worked there was like calling me off time because she was really interested in the whole subject and everything like that, and wanted to know more. So she actually was calling me on her own time. And so I thought, you know what? It seems like these guys are decent people, and I'm sure the ones that I spoke with were, but they just took everything and they made it seem like it all happened within a week or two, and then they turned it around to this caveman thing. Because the one thing I refused to do was go on there and call Sasquatch any type of gorilla or ape monster. That I will not do. I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not taking it. I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell you what I know, and that's that they're a people. They're not human, but they're a people.
That's how I feel about it too.
So they took that and turned it into this whole caveman thing, and I constantly get things from people that watch the show every time they air that show. I get people from all over the world either telling me how much they loved it, how much they hated it. And the ones that tell me how much they hated it, they're the ones with the paragraph that long. Like, did you watch Smokey and the Bandit and not enjoy it and then contact Burt Reynolds? I mean, why are you tracking me down to tell me that you don't like what I had on there? I don't care.
Yeah.
Not my show.
But yeah,
I'm sorry, but they offered me $1,300 for an hour-long interview. Who wouldn't take that?
that's true. Yeah. But yeah, they're funny.
Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have. But
well, the thing is, the producers of the shows, of all shows, they've got to appeal to a mass audience, and they've got to make money, or their show gets canceled. So sometimes they do take liberties. Was a nice way of saying it.
That's a nice way of saying it, yeah.
And sometimes they go too far with their liberties, and it causes a problem for their witness or the person they're working with. I understand it because I've been around it for a long time. So that's why I always tell people who are trying to get on TV or get on a show, or they're approached by a TV show or something like that, to be very cautious. I've had, and I speak from experience, I've had people steal my witness, TV shows steal my witness, steal my locations, and things like that. So you got to be careful.
Very.
But Leo, I guess we'll call it a show for now.
Well, we made up for the 15 minutes we lost on Friday.
Lost last week, yeah, and we appreciate everybody that showed up in the chat. We didn't get as many questions as we were getting Friday night. Maybe didn't have as much interaction as we were having in the chat room from on Friday. But we do appreciate everybody that showed up and everybody that will watch the replay later on. If you can't show up live, and I know sometimes people can't, some of them have to get up early in the morning and go to work or whatever. They can watch it later, and we appreciate those views as well. And of course, we want to thank Rebecca for taking care of the chat for us. She's a good help, and we're glad to have her on the team.
And I think today, though, things were a little slower today because we just kind of dropped it on people that it was happening in a couple hours. So
yeah, Yeah, that's true. Well, I was gone. I didn't get home to about 4, something like that, I guess. But I guess we'll just wrap it up for now, and we appreciate everybody for showing up. And I guess we're going to try to have a show maybe Friday. No bad luck.
As far as I know, yep.
Okay. All right. We'll come up with something. Maybe people can go to our Facebook page, which is in the description and the link in the description. The Facebook page for Mysteries Unlimited, and maybe drop us some ideas of what you would like for us to talk about. We want to help people and guide people with our experience of what we know. We don't know it all. We're still learning ourselves, but we have experienced a lot of things. We've got over 50 years worth of research under our belt combined. So there's some things we know and some things we have a good idea that we can hypothesize about. And we want everybody to enjoy Bigfoot. And there's nothing more frustrating than buying into a fake story. There's nothing more frustrating than backing a hoax or a fake picture that does nobody any good. Uh, so we'd rather guide you in the right direction and put you on some real stuff and some real information, and not something that we sat on our couch and just dreamed up because we don't go to the woods. We go to the woods often. So, but yeah, go to our Facebook page and drop us some ideas, or even in this video in the comments what you'd like to hear us talk about, or maybe even a guest if there's a guest you'd like to see us have on and talk to them. We can try to do that as well.
For sure.
All right, then. Say goodbye, Leo.
Goodbye, Leo. Say goodbye, Tom.
All right, goodbye, Tom. Until we meet again. All right, peace out, guys.